Welcome back. I'm playing Warhammer 40,000 Battle Sector, and I'm just kind of going around trying to figure out what I want to do here, and making some simple changes here. I was like, do I want to have dual Griffin to have the support fire, but then I'm worried that they might just attack me, so I'm not quite sure what the best way of doing this is, because I want to be able to maximize the amount of units that I can utilize. If I do this, then I can get another bombard, which should help, and then maybe with the dual Griffins then he can get some indirect fire just like there if I do get attacked. If nothing else, the AI may try to calculate losses and then view attacking my unit as being too dangerous for it, and so it will take that into consideration here. So if I attack there, I'm going to suffer losses. Now these penal legions have full las cannons, or las guns I should say, like our infantry do. It's like the equivalent of them. So you got to be careful that you don't overextend yourself and end up taking damage while you're shooting there, say compared to the gangers, which just have the pistols, which have the range of 1, which you can just outrange and do damage to them. So the big thing is you always want to take out their scout cars, because you don't want them to have vision of your artillery units, or they'll start to do calculations about suffering or causing losses to your units, and then they'll just start focusing them down, because the game is very aggro and trying to maximize the amount of kills that it can get, so you just got to be very, very careful about that. So again, it's not focusing down its attacks on my Steel Legion because it's calculating that it's going to suffer losses because it will trigger a Wyvern attack, or Wyvern attack? Griffin. I always get all these artillery names mixed up. Oh my god, I can't talk. Must be stroking out here. So now the leadership will buff the leadership of the units within 1 square of them. However, it won't actually help the units itself that has the morale check or bonus, leadership bonus. So even though it's buffing these other guys so they can get continual attacks over and over again without suffering any sort of losses, it doesn't affect the units itself morale. So with every attack, I'm actually suffering morale losses with those salamanders compared to those other units like the Griffins there that are continually firing, and you're noticing their morale is not changing. So white generally tells you there's no effect happening, yellow means moderate, orange is like you're getting towards severe, and then red means the morale is effectively broken. And depending on the percentages, it tells you it'll affect your accuracy and the amount of range damage that they do. But those numbers here are pure estimates, so it could say that it's going to do 0 damage, other time, and they'll do significant, so you just got to be very careful. The other thing is, if you see on the bottom there, you got like this lightning bolt. That's the initiative of units, and so if you have a high initiative, you'll get to attack first, and if you squad wipe somebody on your attack, then they don't have time to counter you. So there it attacked me because it knew it was going to cause me losses without having to suffer any sort of counterattack, because he attacked from a range 4, which was farther distance than what my artillery could have shot. So once you kind of get an understanding of how the AI works, and you can start to do things to maximize the amount of killing that you can do, get the experience, and then not suffer losses. Now, the big thing is sometimes, like if you're playing on the hardest difficulty where you're going to be overwhelmed, you may actually not want to wipe out squads because they'll just body block their own forces, and once a unit moves, it won't attack even if something has been revealed by units next to it that have moved afterwards. So once a unit's moved, it's just kind of the end, even though you can move and then come back and then do an attack later. The AI does not do that. And so by having, you know, a bunch of weak units boxed in around you, it's a moot point on a lot of these hive gangers and penal legions, but when you start fighting the orcs, most of the orcs are going to have very powerful melee attacks, and so you'll just want to not have, you know, 50 orcs with axes and you know, grenades and things doing melee attacks against you. But if you have like two knobs next to you, they're not going to do nearly as much damage, and then they just won't attack because they'll calculate it as they're going to get a squad wipe without causing you any major damage. And then by blocking those squares around you, it'll therefore prevent stronger units that are coming in to fight you from getting in there and killing your units. And the AI will just start backing up units all around you and allowing you to get a bunch of them free attacks. So there, see, it thought I was going to do some damage, or knew it was going to do some damage to me, so that's why they were willing to attack. Now thankfully they had a bad damage roll there. And then morale, like I said, it affects the amount of damage that you do, so therefore it changes the AI's behavior if you start getting getting your morale losses, because it's going to start saying, hey, I can attack you and suffer minimal counterattacks. And then as you can see by the bigger squares there, you know, most infantry have like 1 health until you start getting Space Marines or Ogrins that may have multiple HP per unit, but the basic infantry in this game, each one has 1 health, so when they attack and you see that damage, that's like, oh, you do 7 damage. If there's 1 health, you'll take out 7 models out of the squad. But let's say there's 2 health, then you do 7 damage. It's just going to be taking care of 3 models and a half. So just got to keep that into consideration. And then you can heal for 1 HP per turn if you rest and refit.
I've had enough of this. I refuse to put my men through any more needless games. You may have won every mission so far, Commander, but I have the leadership skills where and when it matters. On the battlefield. I don't care what Yarrick or his acolytes say. My battalion will not participate any longer whilst the Greenskins fly above our heads.
This is an ill omen for the day to commemorate the Emperor's ascension. The situation has escalated. Orcs have landed on Armageddon Prime. To make sure your men are fully prepared, 1 last training session has been scheduled. There is no time to relocate your battalion anywhere far. You will train just outside the Hive Deathmire. You'll be facing a different opponent this time. He has been given Jackson's battalion.
Where's Jackson? Normally he'd be gloating about his impending victory by now.
Jackson himself, regrettably, has received the Exterminatus sanction from Goyle for refusing orders.
And make no mistake, Commander. If I sniff any more insubordination from your ranks, I'll put a bolt pistol to your temple and pull the trigger without blinking. I have the Commissar's authority. Now get the battalion ready!
So the game is pretty good about telling you when you have new types of units available. And you can see I got, you know, 1960 for 16 for units. These guys have support fire too, but again, they're infantry, so it tends to get my own guys killed a little bit easier. We've got some new artillery and things here. Again, if you have units like infantry can convert into other kind of infantry and keep their experience, walkers, artillery for artillery. So you just got to keep that into consideration, and you can change them back and forth without any losses. But once you disband a force, then you just permanently lose it. Now you don't want to go all artillery because you'll need to have infantry to capture strategic points like the buildings here, because vehicles cannot go into those city squares unless it's on a road. So you'll need to have some infantry available to beat the game. Like I couldn't even beat this map if I don't have any infantry. So. So those scout cars have 4 vision as well. So you always want to make sure that you kill those guys so they don't see your units, because if they do, then everything that can get a kill that's within visual range will start attacking. Now he was moving up to be able to attack me, but because he didn't see that I had a unit there when he was charging in there with his scout car, I got an attack of opportunity. But I think that's the only way in this game that you can actually get attacks of opportunity. It's not like if you're a ranged unit and you're moving out of melee range, you'll get attacked. There's like no zone. Well, that's not true. There are zone of control, but it's not for attacks. It's just you can't continually move past a unit, an enemy unit, I should say. So the zone of control slows your movement down, but there's no damage penalties per se. Now you can see the artillery up top there. That's actually a basilisk cannon, or an earth shaker, I guess they're called. So you just got to be careful. You'll get access to those late game yourself when you're doing defensive missions, but the AI also has that, and they can shoot you. So you just got to be very careful that you don't end up neglecting that, thinking it's nothing, and then end up taking some significant damage from his artillery. And again, if they can't see you, they can't attack you, even if you're within their attack range. Yeah, see, there's another artillery piece. But slow and steady wins the race on this game. Alright, so let's keep moving over here. We're making good time. But as you can see, these scout cars have a lot of attacks, and the morale, like if you have multiple salamanders next to each other, or multiple units that do have the leadership trait next to each other, then they will affect each other's morale, but it won't affect its own. So that salamander in the center is giving increased morale to both the other salamanders that are nearby. Now I can't undo my movement because I exposed these other vehicles here. So that's how that works, if you're wondering why I couldn't just retreat. But it has the autocannon and the heavy bolter, so again, it can do really good damage against light infantry and decent damage against some medium vehicles. But typically it's meant as a light anti-infantry vehicle. And so if you start attacking, other vehicles or units that have a little bit of armor, then their effectiveness dramatically starts to decrease For example, you wouldn't want to have it go 1-to-1 against a super heavy or something like that, because it's just going to get itself completely destroyed. Alright, so we'll just skip some turns here. Unfortunately, now the orcs are going to be reinforcing on us. But we also have some reinforcements here. I can't remember where they end up deploying from, if it's over here or if it's just where these guys ended up spawning from. Alright, so now we're starting to see vehicles show up. Now, that's a rocket scout car, so it actually does good anti-vehicle damage, not the tank. The tank is just a grot tank. But it has a range of 4, or a visual area of 4, so you just need to be very, very careful that you always kill that. Alright, and again, these are auxiliaries, so I don't really care that they get killed. In fact, I want the orcs to focus fire them, so that way I can keep my guys alive. Now, those bikers also have a visual range of 4 too, so you want to make sure that you get those kills as well. But as you see, he's got 40-some models there, so that would be somebody I would not want to be attacking me, because he's likely to do significant amounts of damage. Alright, and the bikers only have range of 1 as well, so they have to be right next to you to get the attack, so that makes it easy for you to snipe them down without much difficulty here. And it looks like we killed everybody on the map, so overwhelming victory for us.
I don't know what is happening. The clones are going crazy. Bear with me, Commander. If only I could pray. Never mind. I have 2 urgent order stacks coming through on the box. They are both code Cyan, so as the ranking officer, you need to decide which assignment to accept. Governor von Straub is demanding all Steel Legion battalions to attack. This is a chance to strike back at the Greenskins early. Your force could be one of the first to engage in a meaningful offensive. However, as you'll have gathered, Voxnets are busy and ineffectual, making it all but impossible to coordinate such a large-scale counter. I know it is not my place to say, but the Governor's order, while valiant, seems a little rash. The alternative requires you remaining at Hive Deathmire. As you know too well, the Greenskins have been probing the area, and yet they are not following through to attack the Hive. This is very irregular behavior, not typical of the Orcs. Regimental Command wants your battalion to investigate, as you are familiar with the area. There may be no immediate glory in this mission, but if the Greenskins are up to something anomalous, we need to know. Choose your mission, Commander.
Alright, so this is the first branch point. We're going to counterattack or investigate Hive Deathmire. I don't. What I'll do is I'll complete one branch point, and then we'll come back and do the other one.
Of the Steel Legion, I speak to you directly. Do not fear. I have not been slain by the Xenos scum, as some of you feared, when I could not be found on Armageddon Prime. I have simply relocated to Tartarus Hive on Secundus. This Hive city has a vastly more strategic location, and so it's a perfect base to better coordinate our troops. But I see no reason to wait. The Orc menace is small, yes? They may have taken us by surprise, but now is the time to counter-attack and wrest control of Prime back to me. Well, us. Attack, I say! Attack!
It is a relief to be assigned as your communications adjunct, Commander. My faith has been tested of late with the death of my family in the initial Orc airstrike, even as they celebrated the day of the Emperor's ascension. So I need some stability. Anyway, I have received orders. You have a very specific role in the coming attack. Your battalion is being sent to an area close to High Volcanus. Capture the Orc chieftain commanding the Xenos mobs there. We may be able to learn something of the greater Orc plan, if you can take the creature alive.
So locate the war boss, move at least 4 Steel Legion units adjacent to the war boss to capture him, but don't kill him or else you lose the mission. So you just got to be careful with that. And then you want to make sure you don't end up getting attacked by the war boss either, because he has a lot of experience and he actually does good damage, because it's very unusual in this game that war bosses are actually ranged attackers and they're used as Orc scouts. Now if you play the Orcs, which is the Orc version of this game, then you'll be able to see how that plays out. But I'm going to call it quits here for the day. I hope you're enjoying these videos. If you are, please give my channel a like and subscribe to encourage me to post more content for you. Have a great day.